This is Engage New York, Module 1, Lesson 2. Read the objective out loud while I read it as well. I can reason abstractly using place value understanding to relate adjacent base 10 units from millions to thousands. So this is very similar to what we did yesterday. You are going to reason and you're going to use the place value chart when you're reasoning. So remember how we drew our lines? We drew our lines this way or we drew our lines this way. This meant we were multiplying and they were getting bigger. We were dividing and they were getting smaller, right? Now, so to the base 10 units. So we're going to go back to that place value chart that I had for you yesterday. So we're going to start with our fluency practice. We have a fluency each time we start a lesson. We're going to just start really quick. You're going to count forward and then you're going to count backwards by threes really fast. We're going to do this fast. Now we're going to count up to 36. So if you start thinking about it, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. What comes next? 21, 24, 27, 30, 33, 36, right? Now let's count backwards. 36, 33, 30, 27, 24, 21, 18, 15, 12, 9, 6, 3. So this is essentially 3 times 1, 3 times 2, 3 times 3, 3 times 4, 3 times 5, 3 times 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to count forward by 4s, and then we're going to go backwards by 4s. Now I write this down just to help me make sure I didn't skip a number. So, but you don't have to do that. You can just orally count if you want. So counting by 4s, 4, 8, what comes next? 12, what comes next? 16, what comes next? 20, 24, what comes next? 28, what comes next? 32, what comes next? 36, what comes next? That's 4 times 9, 40. And then what's 4 times 12? 40. 4 times 11 and 4 times 12, right? Now let's count backwards. 48, 44, 40, 36, 32, 28, 24, 30, 16, 12, 8, 4. Now, we're moving on to the next part of our fluency practice. This is called take out the tens. So, taking out the tens, if I have 83 ones, how many tens and how many ones? All right, taking out the tens. 8 tens, 3 ones. 9 tens, 3 ones. 10 tens, 3 ones. 11 tens, 3 ones. 16 tens, 3 ones. 26 tens, 3 ones. 46 tens, 3 ones. And 87 tens and 5 ones. I almost wrote a 3 again. All right, turn the page, and we're going to the next part of our fluency. So notice I put kind of how much time we're going to spend on this. I don't want us to spend too much time. This is supposed to be just quick, just a quick review. All right, here we go. You're going to bundle 10 and change units. So when you bundle a 10, remember how we talked about yesterday about in kindergarten, you used to bundle the 10. You'd bundle it and then move it to the next place setting. All right, so if I have 10 hundreds, so if I had 10 hundreds, that really makes what? Okay, so now So now if I have 10 tens, I have to move the place value where? I end up with what? If I have 10 tens, I'm going to end up with 1 what? Okay. If I have 10 ones, then I move it where? How many? All right. So now if I have 10 thousandths, it's going to move to 1 hundredths. And then if I have 10 hundredths, I'm going to move and it's going to become 1/10. The next part of this is let's start by drawing 3 discs in the ones column. 3 discs in the ones column. We're going to take our 3 discs in the ones column and we're going to multiply it by 10. So it becomes, what does that look like? So sometimes I like to actually write the number out. So 2 hundredths is 0.02, and then 3 tenths and 2 hundredths, and then this one 3 tenths, 2 hundredths, 4 thousandths. You can also write it in the chart right here. And then we have 2 tenths, 0.2, 4 hundredths, 5 thousandths, and then 1/10, so 0.1 tenth, and 0, because 3 thousandths, there's none in the hundredths. So sometimes I like to just write this out so that I know how my number should look in here. So if now I have 0.02 and I multiply this by 10, my number is going to shift 1 place value over, right? So my new number becomes, it's going to be 0.2. Now let's try it with 3 tenths and 2 hundredths. So now let's go 0. I'm going to put it down here, 0.32. And I'm going to multiply it by 10. So I'm going to shift this guy over 1, this guy over 1, this guy over 1. My decimal remains the same. So what's my new number? It is 0.3. You don't really have to put the 0, but I'm just keeping it there as a place, as like to hold my place right now. So it becomes 3.2. Okay, so now our 0.324, everything's going to shift 1 time, and you're going to end up with 3.24. Then we have 0.245. We're multiplying by 10 again. We're going to shift. We're going to do a shift, and we're going to end up with 2.45. And then finally, we have 1/10 and 3 thousandths. We have nothing in the hundredths, but we still have to have that placeholder there. So I'm going to multiply by 10 again, shift. So now I end up with 1.03. All right. Notice I circle my answers too. That way I know what I ended up getting for that. All right. Moving the other direction. This time we're going to divide by 10. Divide by tens. So same thing. Okay, this is 2 ones. So remember that decimal really does exist right next to the 2 because it's right here. And remember that decimal really does exist even if that decimal, I don't write it. It still actually exists there. Now, I have 3/10, so 0.3. Then 2 ones and 3/10. 2 ones, 3/10. Then I have 2 ones, 3/10, 5/100. Then I have 5/10. Okay, so that means I'm starting behind the decimal. 5/10, 5/10, 2/100. And then 1/10, 1/10. So 10 and 5/1000. So 5,000. So that means 0.005. Now, remember, when we're dividing by 10, we're getting 10 times smaller, right? It's getting 1/10 smaller. All right, so now if we start here and we divide by 10, our answer becomes 0.2, right? Then we have 3/10. So if we're starting here at 3/10 and we're moving it 1/10 smaller, we're going to end up with 0.03. Then if I divide this one by 10, I'm going to end up with 0.23. It moved once behind that decimal. So 2.3, if I move it here and move it here, that's what I end up with. Then now we're dividing by 10, so we're taking it smaller, right? Our decimal is moving in this direction. So if we divide by 10, it's going to move one place over. We're going to end up with 0.235. Then we're going to divide this guy by 10. Moves over 1, moves over 1. This guy moves over 1. So we end up with 0.052. Now we have 10 and 5,000s. Everything's going to shift one time to the right because we're dividing by 10. Shift once, shift once, shift once, shift once, shift once. So now I end up with 1.0005. We are now moving to our application problem. A school district ordered 247 boxes of pencils. Each box contains 100 pencils. If the pencils are to be shared evenly among 10 classrooms, how many pencils will each class receive? Draw a place value chart to show your thinking. This is your turn now. All right, so I started off with 247 boxes of pencils. Each box contains 100 pencils. So if I multiply this by 100, that means I'm moving it 2 times because there are 2 zeros there. It's 10 times 10 times. So it becomes 100 times bigger. So it's 24,700 pencils. Then I need to divide them equally among 10 classrooms. So now I divide by 10. So now I move it back. And now I end up with 2,470 pencils, each classroom is going to end up getting 2,470 pencils, which I have to say, that's a lot of pencils that each class will get.